The Witcher, and we open up inside a place called Brokilon Forest. That's where the Witcher was taken to heal after Vilgefortz left him broken on the sand last episode, and it's where Ciri hid all the way back in Season 1 after the fall of Sintra. I better put the cosplay up early, as in previous videos it's proven to be far more popular than me talking. So I have another woman cosplaying as Geralt the Witcher. She goes by Snarky J if you want to look her up. Just be aware that her Facebook contains many extremely thirsty comments, including under this picture where one young gent came in to say, quote, "I'd toss a coin to this Witcher." And we're opening on the character of Milva. Now, I read the entire 4th book quite recently, and I'm left asking, who's Milva? Milva appears to be a character that seems to be written just for the series, because I can't find her anywhere in the 4th book. Maybe I missed her, and her character is... she's a girl boss, okay? A descriptor that can be applied to her and pretty much every single female character in the entire show now. You can tell in some ways she's a Netflix original character because she looks, acts and is written like a character that got excreted from Witcher blood origin, and unlike the male characters, pretty much every woman in the show is now interchangeable in terms of character. Milva comes complete with the costume that a live action role player would not willingly go out wearing in public. So far, so Witcher blood origin. The only shock is that they didn't find someone who was chronically obese and wearing a rainbow coloured loincloth, or worse, Dylan Mulvaney, wearing a rainbow coloured loincloth. On the good side, if they were going to throw diversity willy-nilly into the show, I like that they got a Chinese actress, because in the push for diversity, a lot of countries usually get forgotten. When diversity gets thrown in, it doesn't ever tend to be an Indian guy. I don't know why that is. There's over 1 billion of them to choose from. They have that whole Bollywood thing going on. They have lots of actors. You'd think in the whole of India they could find some devastatingly pretty and talented actresses, but apparently not. But let's not fool ourselves, not all casting is interchangeable. Body shape is important in casting. There are just some people in Hollywood trying to pretend it isn't. Mostly only for women though. It's like the film Conan the Barbarian. Either one, the Arnold one or the Jason Momoa one, it doesn't matter for the point. You couldn't have cast Chris Farley as Conan, could you? Unless you were making a parody film. Am I making sense with this? If you're doing a biopic of Jesse Owens at the Berlin Olympics, for multiple reasons, you also couldn't have cast Chris Farley. And as much as I like him, you also couldn't cast Morgan Freeman either. He's 86 years old now, and I very much doubt he's been doing much practice for 100-metre sprints. And I maintain the same standard for women. If you're casting the X-Men and the role of Emma Frost, you kind of need a Caucasian actress. She's probably going to have to be blonde or willing to at least dye her hair, aged 18 to 35 or so, and she's going to have to be quite pretty, in a very specific way. Not Ana de Armas pretty, not so much cute. The character is beautiful in a way an ice sculpture of a woman can be beautiful. On the other hand, they could just cast Lady Gaga, and I'm not sure who they could even cast as Emma Frost. Maybe Kate Upton? How even is her acting though? Hermione Caulfield could be interesting, and by the same token, you don't cast Kate Upton as Storm, do you? And in the same way, I kind of have a problem with the casting of Milva. She's supposed to be very good with a bow, but her arms are like twiglets. They're so thin, it makes it look like she's never used a bow in her life. The actor has kind of got to sell the character that they're playing, and she doesn't. And she's also fiercely annoying. I get the sinking feeling she's going to be sticking around, and the way she acts. It's like when Geralt was unconscious, unbeknownst to him, they got secretly married.
Like I've been saying, you can't leave unless you get better. And you won't get better unless you let us help you. Grouse?
Give me the damn grouse.
Oh, now you want it.
And her line delivery is frankly not great. It's almost like this was her second ever acting gig, which it actually was. Henry Cavill, meanwhile, will be spending most of the episode lying down and groaning again, and I can think of no logical reason to do this apart from spite on the part of the showrunners. They had a world-class actor who the show was paid a reported $1 million an episode for. Why would you have him lying around doing nothing? Again, A load of Geralt's book scenes were cut out of the series. The showrunners leave her in more scenes with Ciri and Yennefer every episode that weren't in the books. And that's what I'd be doing with Geralt if I were in their position. If I was paying Henry Cavill $1 million an episode, I'd be getting my money's worth. I'd be recording him having lunch. That'd be going on DVD extras. Instead, they cut to a scene of Yennefer in the Skellige Isles looking for Ciri, and this to me was a major misstep. I don't recall the book ever cutting back to Yennefer after what happened at Aretuza, so reading the book you have no idea if she's even alive. And much like seeing the whole coup from Geralt's POV in the book let the audience feel the chaos and confusion that the character felt, so did the absence of Yennefer convey Geralt's feelings of worry, longing and loss, and the showrunners seem to have failed to grasp that. They seem convinced they can improve on the book, despite the fact that when they tried original writing, we got Witcher Blood Origin. Shall I cut to Michelle Yeoh again? It is getting a bit tired. I may have overused it.
Do it.
A dwarf.
Michelle Yeoh, I can never quit you. That line delivery makes me laugh every single time, and they put in so much Yennefer and the Witches into this episode that was not in the book. And frankly, I need cheering up. They took a book series that was mostly about one guy, and now it's nearly all women. And it isn't even good content that they put in. The makers have filled the story with their politics again. We find out from Tessai de Vries that women were only made sterile in the Brotherhood because the men demanded it, and they wouldn't trust the women otherwise. I don't remember that part being in the 4th book, and given what's happened in the series, they were maybe right not to. The witches go to try and find Ciri at Vilgefortz's lair and find the young women that went missing from Aretuza, and the witches all start squabbling. And why is the Witcher this now? It's Ahsoka again. It's a peach party, a clam bake, take your pick. Philippa Eilhart is angry that the girls weren't cared for at Aretuza, and Margarita says, "Berate us all you want." And somebody should. The missing girls were under your protection. A load of girls go missing from your magic school, and nobody at the school bothers to look into it. You assume they ran away and have a party instead of looking. And I'm not sure I will ever truly understand women. When men want women around and ask them, they mostly don't turn up. But if there's something like a male gym or a gentleman's club, women will protest to be allowed in. And then when they're allowed in, they'll either claim the place as their own, or will mostly lose interest. And in short, that behaviour is less like a man and more like a cat. There seems to be this strange drive that many women have that means they have a problem with men existing without a woman being there. That and a tendency to believe in magic, and witches, and astrology, and love spells, and a desire to form covens, even in TV shows, and I don't get it. Why did The Witcher need to be changed to this extent? The books were already pretty feminist in the first place, but now it has to be ultra-feminist by 2023 standards. This added feminism wasn't in the book as far as I remember. The writers just can't help themselves. It's a lot more of the same as we've been getting, as the Witcher showrunners try to write The Witcher out of the story of The Witcher. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill is scarpered, doing whatever he's doing here in the upcoming movie Argyle, and yeah, that looks a lot more fun than being The Witcher, doesn't it? He's essentially getting paid to have a face full of a woman's privates, and that raises the question. A question about feminism, not a question about having a face full of a woman's privates, though I suppose in some ways that could be feminism too, but no, the question is politics and entertainment a bad thing? And honestly, I'm not sure it's even avoidable at this point. Just writing a narrative and characters will probably give the audience takeaway messages that some people will read as political. We're getting to the stage where if a film or TV series comes out without an overt political message, that in itself is now being cast as a political act. Having a face full of a woman's privates is probably a political act. It's getting so that every film and TV series has to follow a rigid set of enforced political doctrines, and you should know what they are by now. We've long passed the point where every film and TV series coming from Hollywood or the BBC has to be overtly pro-feminist. They'll all be environmentalist in the same facile way that Emma Thompson is when she takes a private jet 5,400 miles to join a climate change protest. Everything will be globalist and everything will be LGBT friendly, like you're dealing with the Borg. I used to think Hollywood was bad in the era when shows actively pushed smoking on their audience. Now I'm left thinking, frankly, if only modern Hollywood was that benign. Now they just straight up tell people who to vote for, and having enforced politics is poison to any kind of creative endeavour. Have you seen art from totalitarian countries? So that's how The Witcher ends. The story gets lost in the politics and fizzles out. Ciri is with the outlaws, the rats. Yen and Geralt are looking in the wrong place for her. For some baffling reason, Milva's going along with Geralt. Yen comes to Brokilon to heal and save Geralt yet again, which is another departure from the book. He'd already been healed by Triss at this point in the book. In the book, Triss healed him because Triss is a healer. She specialises in healing magic, unlike Yen. Geralt is going, with a bad leg, to cross the entire continent to go to Nilfgaard and get Ciri, with Milva and Jaskier in tow. And Yen could just teleport him at this point, no? She could just teleport them all there. They haven't got to cross a continent on foot while Geralt has a limp. The problem is, the writers can't write. Yen wasn't there in the book at this point. Yen was missing. But in the series, they wrote her into scenes and didn't even think through the consequences. Tessai de Vries takes her own life. In the book, she did it because Arethusa had fallen and she heard the footsteps of people coming for her. In the series, she'd already gotten away from Arethusa and she did it because... No, I've got nothing. King Vizimir gets his throat cut by Mackenzie Crook on the orders of Philippa Eilhart, so now Radovid is King of Redania. So to answer the question, there will always be things people can interpret in a story in a political way that may be unavoidable, but it should be limited. It's supposed to be entertainment after all, not a way to push a cause. If the main goal is pushing social change and not entertainment, good luck, because people are probably going to stop watching. And now they've changed the source material, and I get the impression that the showrunners have no idea what to do with the story.
And then he hit.
Jesus. You've got spunk and balls. And I like that in a woman.